Hey, we have a vaccine. It's awesome. The nightmare could be over. Could be. It's up to you. Anyways, take the vaccine, then take that second shot, and then you're going to be protected to a certain degree, and then follow some simple protocols. We can now do contact tracing once we've reached 70% of the population getting the vaccine. Hey, if we get to 80 to 90, we might even have herd immunity. Inshallah. Look at that. We came together as a human species, and we beat them. We beat them. We beat disease. But instead we have clown shoes. The FDA is warning Americans against taking horse drugs for COVID-19. I was ahead of the fucking curve on this one. I'm not going to get any credit, I know. But how long ago was it? Maybe a month ago when I was like going all in to Bretty Weinstein. Being like, what the fuck are you doing? Brett Weinstein on a show was going off about Ivermectin. And I was like, this is going to be the next big one. I can feel it. This is going to be the next big one, right? We had hydroxychloroquine before this. Now it's going to be ivermectin because people, of course, they love alternative medicines. It's been this way forever. This is not new. What is new is the power of the internet and the ability to influence and make so many people take something like this en masse, as they are doing. But back in the day, you know, there has been miracle cures for everything, especially and unfortunately cancer. And I'm sure every single person in chat, because of how how popular is, well, popular is the wrong word, but how prevalent cancer is in society. I'm sure everyone here. Oh, thank you so much for being awesome.
You're awesome, Lance. Thanks for doing what you do. You positively affect more people than you think.
Oh, thank you. That's nice. Sometimes it feels good. Sometimes it feels bad. It's like everything else in life, though, you know? Sometimes you're like, hey, I did good today. And sometimes you're like, I hate myself. But that's part of the human experience. I like to think that was universal. What was I talking about? Ivermectin. Yes. So for cancer, I'm sure every single one of you knows someone who's been affected by cancer, right? Every single one of you knows probably someone who's affected by cancer right now. It fucking sucks. Cancer, just as a term, is an umbrella term for a whole range of diseases that can affect the human body, often when it happens to do with cell replication. Because it is so difficult for us to be able to cure something in which it's your own body's cells attacking you, and we've had a lot of struggles with this, and we still use very barbaric methods to approach this situation, such as burning, using radiation, poison, chemotherapy, stuff like that. The idea and prospect of something magical that comes along that involves no pain or suffering and can cure you sounds like a miracle, sounds too good to be true, and unfortunately always is. This is where all the shysters and the hucksters come in who are trying to scam people, being like, well, all you need to do is travel to this remote part. It's in a small village near Calcutta, and there will be a doctor who can operate upon you and will literally pull the cancer out of your body. You'll see it. He'll have nothing in his hand, and then he'll go like this, then he'll touch your stomach, and then he'll rip out a bunch of what looks like organs, but that's actually just the cancer, puts it in a bowl, the bowl goes to the side, you give him X amount of dollars, and you're cured. I mean, that's on the extreme side of things. That was what I think Andy Kaufman was doing. But then there's people who just sell tinctures, tonics, electrotherapy, you name it. The same thing happens with COVID-19. COVID-19 exposed a huge problem in both how we treat each other, how society stratifies and classifies us. I mean, I know a lot of the people who were already lefties were kind of like, told you. But now we have metrics. Now we have actual metrics showing you that frontline workers disproportionately turn out to be oftentimes Latine, Indigenous, Black Americans, Black Canadians, etc. And they are dying at much higher rates because a lot of them don't have proper insurance in America. And in Canada, sometimes the systemic racism that exists within the insurance system, within the healthcare system already, affects them negatively, such as Indigenous populations. So now we can show this all to you. Huge failures. It's obviously much worse in the United States because in the United States you have a combination of complete and utter freedom of speech with certain exceptions, but mostly freedom of speech, allowing all these news networks like OWN, Fox, Breitbart, Stormfront, Chode Load, all of them, to be basically pushing the idea that, hey, COVID could be a hoax, or it's all about government control, or the masks aren't effective, or any of these many lies, any of these huge amount of lies. Then along comes the vaccine, and of course there's all this hysteria around it. People are like, well, it's got to be rushed. Oh, Big Pharma is just going to do this, so we're perpetually vaccinating ourselves. The whole thing was a giant scam. Or the racist side of the angle where it was made in China. This is a Wuhan lab thing. They're using to all this kind of stuff combined to the situation we find ourselves now, where of course people who cannot afford to go to a doctor, people who cannot afford to get on a respirator, any of that kind of shit, will look towards any cure they can find. And one of them happens to now be ivermectin. Now, ivermectin, as prescribed by a doctor in clinical trial studies, could have some efficacy against the symptoms of COVID-19. No one is denying that. Again, in clinical-based studies under the supervision of a doctor. What is happening now, and what is exactly what I knew would fucking happen if Joe Rogan and Jimmy Dore and Brett Weinstein go on the podcast talking about how this is like some kind of a conspiracy, is that people are going to take whatever they can find. And in the case of people going, like, who have access to farming supplies, they are buying deworming ivermectin, which is intended to be used for pigs, horses, sheep, and they're taking it themselves because they don't want to catch COVID, or they are hoping that it's going to help cure their COVID. And surprise, surprise, it's resulting in like 70% of, I think, poison control calls in Mississippi right now happen to be for people taking too much ivermectin. The good news is none of it has been, as far as I've seen, life-threatening, unlike the hydroxychloroquine stories where people, without the supervision of a doctor, their hearts were exploding. Because, yeah, you're not supposed to just take these very powerful drugs in these kind of quantities. You're also not supposed to take the ones that have been portioned or prepared or packaged for horses as a human. I mean, especially not the one that features, like, apple flavors and stuff like that. Not that I think anyone is taking those, but I'm just saying. So it's resulted in the US FDA having to issue a statement, "You are not a horse, you are not a cow, seriously, y'all, stop it." Which, in any other timeline, I guess would be absolutely hilarious.
The vaccine is a wonderful innovation, and many watching, if you fit the risk profile, you should get vaccinated. But it's not for...
No, you should all get vaccinated. All of you, everyone. Everyone should get... It does nothing to do with the risk profile. Fox, shame, right out of the gates. Shame on you.
For everyone. And getting 100% of the population vaccinated is not only impossible and stupid.
Well, no, it is impossible, thanks in large part to people like you and this broadcast right now. Because, again, yeah, if you're going on television and constantly telling people, well, you know, the vaccine's a modern miracle of science, but at the same time, you don't need to get it. I mean, you couldn't, if you're not high risk, why do it? If you're young, why do it? I mean, that's what Joe Rogan was saying. If you're young and you're fit, why do it? You're very low chance of getting symptoms from this because there's other fucking human beings. There's other humans. There's other Americans. There's more than just you. It's the same fucking thing with the masks, right? None of them wanted to wear the masks. They were like, well, it turns out the mask isn't actually effective at preventing you from catching COVID. Well, no shit, that wasn't the point. The point is when you speak like I am, you spray. Have you not seen that picture when me and the homies get together and the two people are beside each other and there's just like mist all over? That's all we do when we talk to each other. We're just spitting on each other. That's the pleasure and joy of the human experience. And it used to just be all fun and games, but now you might be spreading some deadly diseases. You might be asymptomatic, my friend. Or you might have had the vaccine and then a couple of your friends don't. You may have that 4 to 6% chance of getting infected. You then get infected, but you don't notice it because, hooray, you've got the vaccine and the vaccine protects you against all those kind of symptoms and stuff, so you don't even know you have it. You go visit your friend and your friend hasn't been vaccinated. You spray him. He catches the Delta. He then turns to his other 4 friends, sprays all of them, sprays them all with the Delta. Surprise, surprise. It keeps on spreading and we keep on having these problems, like a never-ending cycle. Like, this is not what the never-ending story was supposed to be about. It's supposed to be about riding giant creatures.
It's dangerous, and it will cost lives. It already has. And here's how. Look, censoring me is one thing. I'm just a television host. But there are many, many promising treatments out there that can save lives that, like our segment last night, have been disappeared.
No one was censoring the results or the tests on COVID-19 and ivermectin. No one. There was no dark conspiracy, no big pharma. Guess what? Pharma is making a fuck ton of money off this, and they're going to continue to make a fuck ton of money off this unless we nationalize them. Nationalize big pharma, everybody. Break up big pharma, everybody. Go ahead. I'm on board with you there. There's a battle we can both do. But guess what? They're making a fuck ton of money on this because you, the taxpayers, are paying them to produce these vaccines for everybody. There is a socialized healthcare system going on in the United States for the vaccine specifically. Every American who wants it can get the vaccine for free at any single time. And Big Pharma still gets paid. They have no reason, no incentive to censor alternative medicines in this case. Especially alternative medicines like ivermectin that have been around for a long time that happen to be able to be produced without a copyright, I think. They've already expired the copyright, so you can make generic ivermectin if you wanted to. There's no motive here. You get this, right?
From the public health conversation. Now, here are three examples. First, hydroxychloroquine and azithromycin. You remember this conversation from a year ago. You remember the media mocking this therapeutic treatment.
Tonight, stunning news from President Trump revealing he takes the anti-malaria drug hydroxychloroquine.
They all lied. All of them all of a sudden said they were taking it. They were not taking it. Rudy Giuliani was not taking it. All right, his heart is already exploding. He can't have two exploding hearts. And then what? Sebastian Gorka? Oh yes, the hydroxychloroquine boys are back, and we're taking more hydroxychloroquine than ever before. Look at us.
Quinn, a controversial medicine that Mr. Trump has touted as a potential treatment for coronavirus, despite limited evidence to back that up.
Chico to change the schedule. Yeah, Chico definitely influenced me moving the schedule around a little bit. Look at that little thing. Come on. I have to tire him out in the morning. Takes a while.
You took the hydrochloroquine? I'm not, my sound
Yes,
is
ma'am.
a little weird.
Yes, I took it.
Wow. I can't believe anybody with a brain would take that stuff, but you seem like an intelligent guy. You're a representative in Congress.
Yeah.
Why would you take that drug? There are terrible consequences.
The President of the United States said today he is taking a drug to prevent coronavirus that the FDA warns is dangerous, and study after study now show is useless against the virus.
Morons.
I mean, you could just replace him with Jimmy Dore. Same thing, right? You see this? You see how they're all covering up for Big Pharma? They don't want you to know. No one wants you to know about ivermectin. It's so effective. All right, it's been saving us. Turned me into a fucking horse. I got the powers of a horse now, and they don't want you to know this. It's the deep in state Democrats, I tell you. Every one of them.
A study published in the American Journal of Epidemiology by Dr. Harvey Risch, a professor of epidemiology at Yale, by the way. We're talking about serious people here. Said the following. Estimated mortality is less than 20% as compared to the 10,000 Americans now dying each week. This was a little bit earlier in the pandemic. Now, these medications need to be made widely available and promoted immediately for physicians to prescribe. Last night, Dr. Risch told us here on this program that this therapeutic treatment could reduce hospitalization and death by as much as 85%.
Now, those are all some fancy numbers, but I don't really speak city folk talk, so I'm just going to say this. What we do know right now is that the vaccine is actually incredibly effective. And the vaccine, especially even against the Delta variant, has shown, if you're taking the Pfizer Moderna vaccines, to be between 93 to 96% effective against infection. That's just infection. All right, there's a whole ladder of things to get through. We can start with infection, then we can start with symptoms, and then some illness, and then perhaps getting sick, and then full-blown sick, and then down here is you might need to call a doctor, hospitalization, respiratory. Each one of those you are defended from, you know, all the way down the ladder. Some people, yes, if you're very old or have comorbidities or existing problems, you may go to the hospital, but it's likely you will not die. It's very likely that you will not die. And why is that important? Because since the beginning, the scientists and the doctors have been telling us the same thing. We only have X amount of respirators. We only have X amount of hospital beds. If we have this new disease that is going to bring in thousands upon thousands of people with respiratory problems, then we will have to choose who lives or dies. And that is going to be a horrifying decision that no one wants. So help us. Help us out. Stay home and don't get sick. Wash your hands. Wear a mask. Go out. Don't meet in public. Hey, we have a vaccine. It's awesome. The nightmare could be over. Could be. It's up to you. Anyways, take the vaccine, then take that second shot, and then you're going to be protected to a certain degree, and then follow some simple protocols. We can now do contact tracing once we've reached 70% of the population getting the vaccine. Hey, if we get to 80 to 90, we might even have herd immunity. Inshallah. Look at that. We came together as a human species, and we beat them. We beat them. We beat disease. But instead we have clown shoes.
85%. But that conversation, it's not considered by the media, it's mocked, much less by the scientific expert consensus.
Doctors can already prescribe ivermectin. There's no problem there. Let the studies run out. Maybe it's effective, and if it is, awesome. Then get doctors to prescribe it, okay? Human beings, stop taking ivermectin intended for animals and ingesting it, hoping that it'll help you. Yeah, I feel so very bad for you. I have zero hatred. Like anyone who's like, hey, fucking, all of this happens to be evolution, bro. We're just culling the herd from the dum-dums. If they don't want to take the vaccine, that's on them. If they want to take all the ivermectin until they try to turn into a horseworm, that's on them, bro. I'm very sorry to tell you, it's on all of us, okay? This is an all or nothing game. We're all on the planet together. We're going to have to share this experience together. There are other countries besides Canada, the United States, Europe, NATO, whatever you be. We have to get the vaccine out to all nations. We have to get everyone vaccinated. We have to have everyone with access to the vaccine. And I'm sorry, but like in a lot of these cases, it happens to be people who are brainwashed by this garbage media. Like garbage media, day in, day out, who are like, well, I'm smarter than you, and I believe because the global elites and the cabal and all the other stuff that I'm being protected against that, you know? And it sucks. It sucks because the people who are doing that to them are making money off of it. That's what truly makes it sad. Oh, I want to talk about this, the vaccine passports.
One of Vancouver's mass vaccination clinics is the kind of crowd that's backing the province, happy to see restrictions for the unvaccinated.
I think for the safety for everybody still, that's our main goal, right?
I think everybody just has to get used to the fact that we have to do this.
Fun fact, this is the building where I got my vaccine shots. So the lineup started like right around here, wrapped around there, and then right on the other side is it's the VCC building.
And then everybody will get over it, I guess.
Today's announcement means a BC vaccine card will soon be required for nearly everything deemed non-essential.
Okay, so here's my thoughts on this, because I know there's a lot of controversy about vaccine cards, vaccine passports, people calling this a new form of apartheid. Here's the rub, okay? One, we have had in the past, as long as I've been alive, things known as vaccine passports. You need them to travel. So there's a lot of countries you can't go to without getting vaccinated, because if you do, you will probably die from things that are easily vaccinatable against, such as yellow fever, for example. So get those vaccines. That way you won't get a mosquito bite and die from something terrible. That's just been the way. Now, domestically, this is going to be something new. However, there's two important things, and these are the things to remember, all right? One, there are people who cannot get the vaccine even if they want to, all right? They happen to be people who may have a disability. They may happen to be people who have an illness already. They may happen to be people who are very old, and it could be risky for them, and they're in a high-risk group, okay? For those kind of people, we need to make some sort of provisions for them, especially ones who are, for no lack of trying, wanting to get the vaccine, but are unable to take it for some other medical reasons. We have to factor that into this. And if you forget about that, then I think you're doing a huge disservice to people who otherwise would want to take the vaccine. I know the counter argument to that is immediately going to be, why are those people wanting to be in public at all? Well, I don't know. Maybe if you happen to be really diseased or something, or very old, you still want to spend a day in a park in the sun in front of other human beings. And I still think that's your right to do so. So we have to make some kind of accountable provision for them and make that adequate. And I haven't seen that addressed at all yet in any of these kind of plans. That's the first thing. Second thing, you have to do an outreach program to two important communities, the Black community in the United States and Canada, and the Indigenous community, specifically in Canada, because both of those communities have historically been tested on by their governments. So they have reason, historically, to be wary of a free government vaccine. I can completely understand why that may have been passed down generationally, and or why there might be a hesitancy for those groups specifically to take the vaccine. Now, in Canada, there has been an outreach program for Indigenous communities and a lot of success in very remote Indigenous communities, which I'm proud to announce. I think that was a good program. I think it worked out. Yay to sometimes the provincial and federal Liberals for pulling that off. All right, just gonna throw that out there. But there's also been huge shortcomings and shortfalls, so those have to be met. In terms of a reach out in America, I haven't really either heard about that or learned about that. So please, if I'm just talking out of my ass as I do for a living, let me know. There has been big outreach programs to Black communities. I didn't know that, but that's something else you have to factor in if you were going to set up the system of like two separate like you can enter if you have a passport versus you cannot enter if you have a passport. Okay, those are the two big things that I don't hear talked about enough in this argument. Outside of those, if those have been adequately addressed, then I have no problem with there being requirements of a vaccine proof to be able to enter highly concentrated, packed areas. Because, of course, it just makes sense. I don't think, I'm sorry, if you want to have freedom, that your freedom includes the freedom to get other people sick. So if you're like, I don't want to wear a mask, that's tyranny. I don't want to get a vaccine, an experimental vaccine that I don't know what it is, that's tyranny. Fine. You can stay at home. You don't have to wear a mask. You can stay at home. You don't have to get the vaccine. Totally fine. You have the freedom to do so. I do not see a mandatory vaccination program on a large scale happening in anywhere in North America. That being said, you also don't have a right to go clurbing, just good old day out with the boys, drinks for the boys, and get all fucked up and sweaty, nuts, go dancing, ripping your shirt off, sweating on other human beings, maybe even, having some coitus. I don't think you have the right, the God-given right, the birthright to do all that, and then get 20 to 30 people sick as a result of it, because you're just spreading the Delta like no one's business. I don't think you have a right to do that as well. So I'm okay. I'm okay with these vax mandates, if those things are addressed, the things that I mentioned at the start. If you missed them, now you know. Huge congrats to Chill Goblin. We're in hell. I was part of it yesterday. Beautiful fucking thing. They raised over $10,000 for the Indian Residential School Survivor Society. Fucking based as fuck. Well done, lads. Well done, every single person who helped out. There were so many people. You know what? I'll even read them all out right now. Bad Bunny, Sarah Z, Thought Slime, Big Joel, One Dime, Alan Shane Lewis, Aeronaut, Blood Up, Bothered Boy, The Bottleman, Kamazots, Christo Avalis, Conquest of Dread, Curio, Dan Curtis Thompson, Dark Native, Doe, Harker, Hey It's Vadim, Isabel, Zotin, Jam Tomb, John the Duncan, Jose, Just Right, Liv Algar, Lost S, Lucid Fox, Mitnerd, Pinko Punko, Pixel Smixel, Professor Flowers, Propaganda, Radical Reviewers, Sissy Juice, Spice 8 Rack, Step Back History, That Jess, Tom Nicholas, and more. All the proceeds went to the Indian Residential School Survivor Society. Fucking beautiful. Beautiful. Well done, everybody. Well done. That's something that no one can take away from you, because guess what? You are actually going to help fund the 24-hour support lines that are necessary for people who are experiencing the crises from this, who are experiencing suicidal ideation. It's getting worse than it ever has been. Their lines are very necessary. They're saving lives. You're also going to be giving that $10,000 towards people who are going to be battling Justin Trudeau in court, because that goes towards legal fees towards Indian residential school survivors who unfortunately are being battled by the federal government of Canada to not get the restitution that they so deserve. So beautiful thing. Well done. Let no one tell you that even if you happen to be like, a 50 to 100 to even 150 viewer Andy, that you can't make a massive difference. I've seen people who are like 25 viewer Andys do fundraisers and raise like $2,000 for a cause. It's a thing of utter beauty, and they raised over $10,000. There are people who are like 1K Andys who don't raise $10,000 for causes. Okay, so fuck yes, absolute beautiful thing. Well done. Well done. Do you want movies and Serfs watching the movies? So then come over to the new channels. It's the Serfs cinema. Thanks so much for watching, everybody. Can you do the thing, that thumbs up and comment and all those things that help us out in the algorithm that controls every aspect of our lives? Also, if you happen to have a Facebook account, can you delete it? Like just delete it. You should probably delete your Facebook account, because it's not a great company. But hey, if you can't do that for whatever reason, I understand. And could you also go to facebook.com/thesurftimes then and give us a little like and a follow. We're just trying to push back against the fact that people like Ben Shapiro happen to dominate the platform entirely. And when everyone asks, why do older generations believe the things they believe? One of the problems is the majority of them on social media use Facebook. So to counter that, we're just going to be on there too now. Also, if you happen to have a union or a worker co-op or even a leftist project, podcast, website, Zoom, MySpace, it doesn't matter. We will advertise it for free on this channel. All you got to do is go to weareserfs.com and use the forms that we got there, weareserfs.com. Thanks, everybody.
To our gods, Tigro and Payton El Jus, we pray to you, our sky daddies, to keep us safe from harm. To our monarchs, Tom Spiker and the Tim Caucus, we shall humbly clean your golden toilets in your spatial palaces. To our lords, Ultra Wolf, Evan Nudie, Trevor R., Alexander Thaler, Ryan Lubin, and Jeff Lamb, we are eternally grateful for this small segment of land for us to toil and work. To our knights, Ariane McCarthy, Daniel Sutton, Ants Are Still Running the World, Coulter Smith, Val 9000, Jenna Tall, Dark Puppy, Quiet One 85, Anna Loves Riley, Omni, Riley and Anna, Poodlehawk, Ultimondi, Trevor Janis, Lemmy 101, Anthropophojack, Sharon 42, Chronic to Hemphog, Catherine, Bone Jenny, Radical Maniac, Ramona Costa, Jimmy Bignuts, Violent Orchard, Sophie Baby, Political Puppy, Andreas Chiringuito, Zach Christensen, Jopi, Josh Mickelson, Todd Buckingham, and Todd Lajeunesse. We raise our glasses, we raise our swords, and we salute you, our friends. And to Lance, you are the wind beneath my wings.